interesting
Morning, everyone. I have 9 o'clock on Thursday, October 12th, 2023. It's the appointed time and place for the Bismarck Parking Authority's monthly meeting. Welcome, everybody, here in the room and at home. First item of business would be we declare a quorum. I see we have a quorum here, so we'll consider approval of the minutes of the September 14th meeting. Any changes, corrections, amendments? If not, is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, that motion carries. We'll move on to the regular agenda, starting with the financial statements. And Jeremy, if you'd like to point out anything that you'd like us to know about before we ask you questions.
Sure. Mr. Chairman, Authority Board members, good news is on the Street Fair weekend, we made just over $10,000, so that's a record. And so that number is included in the general parking revenue. And for the month of September, under item to note under repairs maintenance, we did have the 3rd Street surface lot restriped this year. That was $3,280 as part of that number. And then our reserve account currently sitting at $1,562,812.99.
And how much cash on hand then? Is it that 90, the 253?
$253,397.
Okay. Questions of management? Anyone? Any of the income or expense items? Any questions? Hearing and seeing none, is there a motion to approve the financial?
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, call the roll, please, Sue.
Josh?
Yes.
Kyle?
Yes.
Todd?
Yes.
Jake?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes, that motion carries. Thank you. Item 3 on the regular agenda is the selection of management proposal RFQ. Daniel, you want to walk us through that process again? Thanks.
Sure, Chair, authority members, so I can give you a little bit of a background. So the request for qualifications was issued this spring. We received 2 proposals. Those were reviewed by the selection committee in September. So they do have a recommendation, and that would be to select Rocky Gordon and Company for the next iteration of the cycle. The contract would be for a 2-year period with 2 one-year options for renewal, and that was stipulated in the RFP itself. So it would be your decision on the contract terms, but at this point, it's really kind of stuck at those terms. So the proposals were distributed to you, and the selection committee, as I mentioned, looked them over in detail, did some research and background, and came to that determination.
Any questions of Daniel about the process or the applicants, or we know one of them? Anything? I guess everybody got a chance to look at the electronic results. So if there's no questions of Daniel, what would your wishes be? The recommendation of the committee was to reappoint or reselect Rocky Gordon and Company.
I'll make a motion to approve Rocky Gordon and Company for the two-year term with a 1-year option.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Further discussion? Motion is to reselect the Rocky Gordon Company for a 2-year term with a 1-year option.
That's 2 one-year options.
2 1-year options.
Oh, so, okay, I'm sorry. Well, you understood that was part of your motion. Okay, 2 1-year options. And to be clear, those options are at the parking authority's option.
Sure.
Okay. Of course, the other party would have to agree at that point too. So, discussion? Yes, Commissioner?
I've been watching the parking authority meetings ever since they've been aired through Dakota Media Access, and have seen several times to where the Rocky Gordon has talked about like the RFPs, and there only being 1 or 2 selections when construction comes up on whether it be the tendons or other things, and the discussion of why is it only 1 or 2. So I reached out to the other applicant and I asked them those questions, because in the application it talked about we have resources nationwide and we can combine on those resources and capitalize on them. And that was one of the questions posed to them. And They really didn't give me information that they could produce anything different. But going into the future, I would encourage those questions to be asked, because then the ROI for the actual people that use the service provided, it might be a benefit, and it also keeps the onus on the current person under contract for these, to where they're out there looking for those options as well. That's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you for that. Any other comments or questions? I think we all would concur with Commissioner Connolly, but and especially when it comes to a specialty item, a construction item like tendon repair. I mean, there just aren't that many options available to us. Management in the past, the last time we went through this exercise, we did have another applicant. It was a local company that was in the property management business. That business has since gone away. They don't exist anymore. So again, there's a limited number, there's a small playing field, I would say. But at least we did have two, and one was a national one, as Commissioner Connolly indicated. So, okay, so that ends the discussion. Unless there's any further discussion, we'll call the roll, please, on the motion. Or did we-
Josh?
No, we didn't.
Kyle?
Yes.
Todd?
Yes.
Jake?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes, that motion carries. Thank you, and thanks Jeremy and company for hanging in there and helping us along. Item 4 on the agenda would be board member term. Todd Kovash, your term expires the end of this year. Daniel, what's the procedure for renewal or for advertising and for applications for this August body?
That's right. Thank you, Chair, authority members. So all of the renewal cycles now are aligned at the end of the year. So that was a change was made by administration recently. So what we will do is advertise it. We'll just put it on the website, send out that notice, and then anyone can apply. So Todd, I mean, you certainly be welcome to apply. That's if you would wish to continue on the role, and then that selection is made by the City Commission. So we would likely do the notification in October, and then the selection can be made in December or so forth.
Okay. Todd, any questions? So, we really, the parking authority doesn't really have a say in the matter, so probably a good thing. All right, any questions on that topic? Clear as mud. We're looking for an update, number 5, on the pay by app equipment quote. Jeremy?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, authority board members. So as a prelim, before going out for RFQ on this, just to get us to some budget figures, I had reached out to Amano McGann on what the adaptive scanners would cost for the equipment, and then they had they're still putting together the formal quote for me, but I just asked for some rough figures, and it was right around $50,000, because that includes some software upgrades that would have to, sync with those types of equipment. But in addition to that, the mobile app option would go through a third-party service, and there's a few different, national services out there, like Park Mobile, Spot Hero, Parkwise, Easy Park. I've got some calls into them to find out what their fee structure is, because they of course take up a portion of when utilizing their app for processing that payment. So more to come on that, but those are just some prelims at this time.
Questions of Jeremy? And for those who are watching at home, we're looking into the joining the 23rd century, whatever it is, being able to use your smartphone to pay and to check in and out of the ramps. Would this make management's life simpler or more difficult once you get past the learning curve if we implement such a program?
I guess to be determined. Not sure how much administrative work that is as far as processing the payments, if they just give us a report, or if we have to link it to a bank account that it automatically goes into, or how we track that, from a monetary standpoint for audits and whatnot. So
But
still
for-
some missing pieces that we'd have to talk through on that with these companies.
From the customer point of view, for instance, monthly parkers, you do away with the heavy-duty plastic card, and they'd be able to.
Yeah, that would be right. They use their phone as the scanner, essentially, to gain access, whether it be a monthly parker or a hourly
Hourly.
parker.
Okay. Okay. If we get to the point where we want to pursue this, Janelle, since we're talking over the budgetary limit.
Yeah, it was like Mono McGann's equipment add-ons prelim was right around 50,000.
So Janelle, again, if you don't mind, you're halfway here. Thank you, City Attorney Combs. If you would explain the process for us again when we get to those dollar amounts.
Chair and authority members, what happens is it's over $10,000, and we're not sure, probably over $50,000, it sounds like, by the time you're done with this process. So we have to have competitive bidding. We'll put it out for RFP or RFQ probably. I assume there's different types of benefits with different programs. So you're probably not going to want to just look at price. You're going to want to look at functionality, for instance, for cold weather or something like that. So probably best to put that out for RFQ.
Questions of Janelle, anyone? Thank you. Okay. What's your next step, do you think, Jeremy, with that project?
As soon as I hear back from the third-party mobile app providers to get that information on the functionality, fees and whatnot, then I can work backwards on figuring out the equipment parts that would be needed.
Okay. Okay. And then from there, put together an RFQ or RFP?
Right.
Todd?
Jeremy, are there any cities in North Dakota that are using this, like Fargo, that we could call and ask if it works, how it works?
Great question. I can reach out to them. I had not done that yet. Yeah.
Kate, do you have any? Other questions on that topic? Anyone? Thank you for your continued effort on that. Is there other business today? Jake?
Chair, I just wanted to kind of talk through something to think about for the parking authority. I've been parking in the 3rd Street ramp for about 8 years, and I notice every year around Street Fair that seems to be the peak for hourly users. And it's pretty exciting to see all the people using that ramp, but there's also a little bit of confusion among people that aren't familiar with using the ramp, like how to use them, which way to go, where to pay. So I'm wondering if it would be worthwhile to have a marketing video created by a local cinematics company explaining how to use the parking ramp. That might help people that don't use the parking ramp on a regular basis, and also clear up a little apprehension about among the community. I think there's people that if they don't know how to use the ramp, they won't use the ramp. And so that might encourage and entice additional folks in the community to use those parking ramps. And this is something I've seen in other communities. We were just talking, Rapid City, I think Fargo has something like that, some sort of a marketing video that could be ran on cable access television, on our website, that sort of thing. So just something to think about.
Would this, in your mind, be ramp specific just to the 3rd Street ramp? Because every ramp is different in how it functions. But
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know if it needs to be ramp specific. I don't know. I've seen some weird things on, I guess, the street fair weekend among people that are using the ramp. I've seen people going the wrong way, confusion about where to pay. I mean, there's a lot of unusual things happening, and I think it's because a lot of people that are unfamiliar with the ramps are using the ramp. So maybe we need to create one for each ramp. I'm not sure. Just something to think about.
And Commissioner?
I would think that this would be an area to where you could be a little bit more comprehensive, because each opportunity to park has its own features, and that a local user that owns a business downtown says they can't fit their pickup in the parking ramp, especially the parkade. On all levels except for one, it hits the top. And so was asking about options, and when I talked to Jeremy, they talked about the open options and things, so it might be an opportunity to catch some of those questions too.
Is that something that maybe Dakota Media Access could help us with? So we don't have to spend a lot of money. So you want to look into that further, Jake, on behalf of the board?
Sure, I can look into that.
Thank you. Questions or suggestions for the new parking ramp video committee of one?
One additional comment, and maybe maybe it's more than just a video. I know the website, a lot of people use websites to find information on maybe what's available, how to use it downtown before you might go downtown. Maybe that's something we could look at to update the website with some more or better information on what's available, how to use it, those kind of things.
Other websites, perhaps the Downtowners, et cetera. Okay.
Just rolled out on Tuesday, the city rolled out their media kit, so it could be something that may be incorporated into that. Don't know if Kalen wants to add to the 90-plus page document, but, and then, oh, I just lost that train of, the other train of thought. Oh, Dakota Media Access is starting because of staffing challenges and things. That's also my portfolio, but they're starting to run really tight on their availability to listen to new proposals and things. I would still ask them and let them make that decision, but it might be worthwhile checking in with a couple of different places and going with the best option.
Sure.
Kate, I'm sure, would be happy to help you with that endeavor. Okay. Other business? Anybody else have anything else? Kate, is there any updates from the downtown front?
Chair, authority members, wow. We just want to thank Jeremy and the crew at the Parking Authority Street Fair weekend, as Jake mentions. It was always a little hectic, and Jeremy helps us, and Corey and everyone, you know, a few weeks prior leading up to it, getting a bunch of chaser tickets, reworking Sanford's valet situation for at least the one day and stuff like that. So I just want to thank everybody for all their hard work and accommodating us for those couple of days. Your raises can come out of that 10,000 if that's what you guys are looking for.
Thank you.
Yeah. Other than that, I just wanted to mention that we've got kind of our next larger retail event will be Small Business Saturday, which is always the Saturday after Thanksgiving and after Black Friday. We did meet with the Capital City Christmas folks. They do breakfast with Santa down at the event center, and then they do a tree lighting at the like Peace Park area. And they wanted some of those decorations and some of that kind of Christmas or holiday vibe to come up that 5th Street spine. So we said we would also just mention it to the Parking Authority. You've got quite a few large properties within the downtown, especially maybe one side of the parkade, if you guys wanted to get festive. And we might look at kind of doing the rest of those couple blocks down to the event center. So probably something we build on over time, but it's a good connection between the downtown and the event center and Kirkwood Mall, you know, for the holiday season, shopping season and stuff like that. So if you guys got any tinsel laying around or some lights, it'd be kind of fun to do up the ramps real nice, or maybe Santa can learn how to park in the parking ramps with his sleigh, Jake. I'm just throwing it out there. That's what you're going to get in this committee meeting from me. But anyway, could be really fun, and it's always it's usually the second largest shopping day for us downtown, and it switches off between Small Business Saturday and the Street Fair weekend usually for our retailers. So big week for all the small businesses
So
downtown.
might be a little late to the party for us to do banners or something, but Christmas lights are a possibility, right? Jeremy, any thoughts on that? If we wanted to do string lights on the 5th Street side of the parkade, for instance, on the tops of the sidewalls or something, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we'd be open to it. I guess we'd have to figure out what the safest way for attachments and depending on the type of lights and whatnot. But yeah, that'd be fun.
Historically, have we done anything Christmassy?
I don't
these
think
structures?
Not directly as far as attachments to the ramp, but could be a new tradition.
Oh. What are your thoughts? Anybody opposed to that? Yes.
I know for the ramps, power would be the biggest issue. We don't have extra outlets anymore.
We could pull our power from our stuff in the alley if you want. We have 220 power in the alleys. That just goes right up that spine of the 5th Street ramp. But if you want to do that, I mean, we could get distribution or a splitter box. Yeah.
Is it the consensus of the body that we ask management to look into that? Maybe lighten up one of the ramps light up the street?
Is-
kinda?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
is there like a consistent theme as far as type of decorations?
If we start
I mean,
with
we can-
Christmas lights would be a start.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I can connect you with Julie Jeske and the Capital City Christmas. People will see kind of what they're thinking. We do the snowflake lights and the banners, and those stay up all winter. They're more like winter decorations. So this would probably be more Christmas specific, a little extra beyond what we do. I think they're going to start talking to the city a little bit too, and Mark Bergen, the traffic engineer, about, you know, many decades ago, it used to go across the street and it was anchored into, you know, buildings. Obviously, there's height restriction, other things that we'd need to consider there, but I think they would like to, as Capital City Christmas, like to start looking at doing those
The
things again.
intersections, some of us are old enough to remember lights on the streets downtown,
Yes.
so.
Were they gas lights or were they,
No, they weren't gas
okay,
lights.
sorry.
Candles,
You know I love you, Jim.
kerosene lanterns.
But-
But it was more festive, I will say.
Yep.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Anything else, Kate?
Not unless you guys have questions
Any
for me about
questions of
anything
Kate?
downtown.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, anyone have any further business for the good of the order? Anybody in the room? Jake, no? If not, we stand adjourned until November 9th. Thank you, everybody.